All right, everybody, welcome back to Get in the Garage.
We're the music podcast.
For music lovers. The new album review of the week is the 5th studio album by Kesha. It's called Gag Order. This is her final album under Kimosabe Records, a contract that she signed into when she was 18 years old. It is a record label started by Dr. Luke, a producer that she has had multiple lawsuits back and forth with about sexual misconduct allegations and him against her for defamation. It's been ongoing for like a decade. Her final release under that label, so she will be on a new contract after this album. I thought this album was very like clearing the deck, therapy, trauma-related type of album, so it makes sense that this is her final under that contract. This album was produced by Kesha, by Rick Rubin, Tom Carr, Stint, Stuart Crichton, among others. It is 13 tracks. It is 39 minutes long. I enjoyed this album. I'm not a big Kesha listener, but I think she's grown more and more mature over the past 12 years that she's been releasing music. What do you guys think about this album?
When I was in high school, Kesha burst onto the scene with her first album, and it was everywhere. I think she was really, really big for people that in my age and like my high school group. And then all this kind of stuff happened with these lawsuits and kind of fell kind of under the radar. But like I think people were still really championing her and her cause. And I think this album in a lot of ways feels like a big refresh and a restart for her. A lot of the music seems new and interesting and innovative for her as an artist moving forward. I liked a lot of the airy aspects to these songs and beats on here. They weren't pop radio friendly like her first album when she came out with the glitter and rainbows and hyper pop and teeth at the bottle of Jack. Nothing like that is on this record. It's all very honest and emotional. Here I am in my life. This is my viewpoint about this. Strong religious overtones spiritually. Not so much like going to a Catholic church or going to like this kind of thing, like institution. It's more of like a world spiritual view that's brought into this record that is highlighted with the main interlude on here, which is Ram Dass. Shout out in the corner over there. And there's some other Buddhist people on here and spiritualness that is quoted on here. And I think it edges all the songs really well. Thought it was interesting for her and a big leap forward. I was a real big fan of this record. I liked it a lot, and it grew on me the more I listened.
Yeah, I think when I first heard of Kesha, full disclosure, I was a bit dismissive in the way where I was like, okay, this is just kind of like pop music about partying and like drug use and like all that stuff, and I just it wasn't really my jam at the time. I heard the hits because there was stuff on the radio and she was popular and all that stuff. But likewise, with Jeff and Luke, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a Kesha fan or frequent listener, but I was also very pleasantly surprised upon listening to this record, too. I thought the inclusion of the spirituality that is sort of sprinkled all over this record was very interesting. I thought there were a lot of very mature elements in all of the songs as well, talking about things like personal growth, self-doubt, insecurity, but then also the owning of that sort of stuff and the power, the empowerment of sort of owning your own shit in that way that I really liked. So it's less sort of this braggadocio thing and more so like empowerment through my flaws that I thought was a very enjoyable listen for me.
Yeah, likewise, I was almost like anti-Kesha in the early days.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is stuff. Those were songs that would be like fueled on TikTok if they came out now.
Well, yeah. TikTok.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone had to say it.
I had a couple favorite songs on this album. My favorite being the song The Drama, which is right in the midpoint of the album. This is a song that has that electronic club track that builds and builds throughout. There's like a beat drop that comes in about 45 seconds in. It adds a little harmony synths. Like 30 seconds later, it kind of builds with aggressive synth leads coming in. And this is like a song that is in kind of a musical mold of the early Kesha and in the adult new mature Kesha. It's like a fully like Alice in Wonderland type of musical song. There's a key shift like almost near the end that the chorus like goes into this weird place and then it comes back to the song. I just think it's a very fun, as fun as this album gets, maybe. Another song that I really, really enjoyed was the song Fine Line, which abruptly ends with the line, there's a fine line between what's entertaining and what's exploiting the pain, but hey, look at all the money we made off me. And then the song just like cuts out.
Yeah.
So that's like, I think the thesis statement of her perspective and this album, which is like, yeah, fun pop music, but it kind of like ruined my life. But, here's where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we made some money on the way.
Yeah.
Very honest. I want to shout out that song, The Drama, that you were talking about. It had that airy, pulsy thing. It also had the bit at the end where she's talking about getting reincarnated.
As
Yeah,
a
yeah.
house cat.
I forgot. Yeah, that's
as
the
a
Alice in
house
Wonderland
cat.
for the last minute and a half.
Yeah.
Where she goes,
The
I
next-
want to be reincarnated as a house
And
cat.
you go, "Meow."
And it's really cutesy over this like kind of like serious thing where she's like
Yeah.
talking about like her feelings and then where she's like, I just want to be a house cat in my next life. Also shout out to the underplay of that underneath where she's singing I Want to Be Sedated, the Ramones song, underneath it, which reminded me of that song from the Lana Del Rey record where she does Wipeout underneath.
Oh.
Do a fat crisscross in the back somewhere. That tune, where it interplays the Wipeout song underneath. That interplayed the Ramones, I Want to Be Sedated underneath, and I really liked how that was done. And I missed it like 4 times before I heard it. So very subtle. Really like that.
Yeah. I like the song Love Can Save Us Now. I thought that was
Sure.
really cool because that to me is this sort of play between like darkness and light. You know, in one end there's that it's like this very dark sort of like
Grimy.
grimy, gritty, sort of dark, dancey sort of beat thing where all the elements, the lyrical content of it are, it is very, very dark. And then it sort of comes into the chorus, which is this sort of uplifting sort of church choir-y thing where, all we need is like love kind of elements to it, which I thought was like, oh, that's really interesting because it kind of it's you can see that she's playing with different sides of herself. I thought that was really cool.
I love that too because it was like I thought the verses was like her bullshit she's going through. Like she was like spitting out all her bullshit, and then she was like, well, "How do I solve this problem?" And then like the chorus is just like break into the big acoustic like rock,
With literal choir singing.
Right.
Yeah, and like
Corey Henry on
clapping and
piano,
the
like
thing, yeah.
dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba.
So good.
Yeah, the piano lines coming through on the chorus are amazing too. And then when she shouts like grab the holy water at the like the last like double chorus, really, really cool. Fuck yeah, eat your breakfast. That line in there where she's like yelling that. Really love that line, really original. And like very much like I just love that.
And towards the end, she throws that line out. I don't got no shame left, baby. That's my freedom. And I think that's sort of a theme going throughout this whole thing. In other words, she's like, yeah, I don't really care what you think about me anymore, and that's so liberating.
Also, that song, like she was like a pop artist, right? Like we said, like brushing your teeth with Jack, and then the chorus of that song is only God. She's like shouting like the G word in there, which is some heavy topic for a lot of people, and for her to be like, this is what I'm singing about, this is what's helping me, this is who I am. Really a hard thing to do. It could be embarrassing to like really put yourself out there like that, and I think she really nailed it. And on that song especially, really great highlight, really great tune. Love the production on it as well. So
yeah.
Some spiritual leaders featured on this album. We have the Ram Dass interlude, which is a portion of a Ram Dass lecture or speech or sermon, however you want to define it, and it's like all like delay shifted and pitch shifted, and then it kind of settles to be normal, and then it kind of ends with a little down tune thing. The controversial Guru Osho is sampled at the beginning of the song All I Need Is You. I thought maybe chosen to be on here because he's a man who like preached all this good spirituality stuff, who also was like running possibly like a sex cult, so like some kind of shades of maybe how she has felt this past decade. And also the final track, the song Happy, opens up with a sample of neo-pagan religious leader Oberon Zell Ravenheart, who is like big in the world of spiritual magic. So kind of like covering many different bases of like self-help and trying to straighten your life and find, peace and all that.
Yeah.
So can I ask you guys a question in this? We are doing a review of this record. If you like this record, you might have read the Pitchfork review where they
I did not.
they stated that they felt the interludes didn't like add to the theme of the record, and a lot of they were like. They kind of said like it wasn't like it didn't like make it like all about that, and I thought they made it all about that, especially like the references. It may be because I'm a Ram Dass head, but like all the lyrical references go back to like Buddhism and spirituality, and that's for me it linked completely together.
Oh, I think it linked completely too. Even the first two songs, "Something to Believe In" and "Eat the Acid." All right, "Something to Believe In," like obviously is very clearly saying like once you get to a certain point, you realize that like you have to have something to believe in, which is called faith, right? Which is a spiritual sort of thing. And then "Eat the Acid" too. Tip of the hat to Ram Dass, and also what sounds like a harmonium. I don't know if it's maybe like some
that was
sort
the
of a
other thing. It sounded like a harmonium.
Immediately, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, is that Krishna Das, who is a Das brother of Ram Dass?" And then also talking about like, if you eat the acid, this is what happens to you. I don't know if this is what you want, but this is what's going to happen to you. Very much this sort of theme of like lifting the veil kind of idea. So that is Pitchfork. Come on now, that's BS. Because
I thought
this is totally
like,
talking about spirituality and liberation and all that kind of stuff.
Because I was like, maybe it's because I'm too steeped in said culture, bro, but it just felt to me, I was like, oh no, it definitely is all about that. That's exactly what this is all about. Also, to like a religious, religious forthcoming into someone's life, like that's exactly what I felt all these songs were.
Well, and especially that song "Eat the Acid," it has that harmonium sounding keyboards. It has that hypnotic mantra like "you don't want to be changed like it changed me." That song it was co-written by Kesha's mother, whose name is PB Seabird. Look it up, Alex. I think it's Seabird, who was a songwriter for people like Dolly Parton, etc.
Oh, okay.
And that could have been line from her mother's perspective. It could have been like, I ate the acid, spiritual growth, etc., back in the day.
PVC, Bert.
Okay, thank you.
And I wrote that in my notes too. I was like, oh, the connection with the mother in that song too was interesting because she does reference her mom in the lyric, which I didn't realize was a co-writer on the song as well.
PB co-writes, it's either 3 or 4 songs in this album.
Very interesting. I liked how like a very out there subject such as acid use was found in a very like loving way to found a connection with her mom, who she was like, yeah, that's what I think and what I believe in everything, and it was just interesting that she laid it out like that on there, and I thought that was a very interesting thing to do. I liked it.
I like the power ballad type of song. The second to last track, "Hate Me Harder." Big power ballad with piano. I liked her vocals overall on this album. I thought she was like really clear and crisp, and it had that very Rick Rubin stripped away type of thing where there wasn't like a bunch of reverb and stuff all over. There were only a couple songs that had heavy auto-tune on it, and I think that was like obviously very purposely
Stylized.
done. Yeah. But like her natural voice, I think is great. It's somewhere in the range of like how Pink sings.
Oh, I thought that a ton.
It's kind of like, it's not as acrobatic as Imogen Heap, but there are certain lines, especially the second song, "Eat the Acid," and the first song, "Something to Believe In," that had that Imogen Heap like mystical kind of Stevie Nicks type of melodic type of fragments.
"Hate Me Harder" gave me hardcore Pink vibes. And like just the tonality of her voice. Great ballad, kind of really good torch song to end the record, and I like that. That was kind of like the only ballad like that on there. And if I'm gonna kind of like round out, like if you could tell, I really enjoyed this record. And I think the overall theme of what I enjoyed most about this record was it wasn't like that self, like you go girl, like you got it, everything's cool kind of thing. It was more of like this is how I dealt with these hard things and got through them, which I enjoyed much more. And it still had that like positive tonality to it to bring you through that. And these songs didn't feel like bummer listens, much as I thought like the Ed Sheeran album a couple weeks ago was like a major bummer listen. These are hard topics, but she handles them in fun and interesting ways with nuance and interesting beats and textures and stylized, and it's very airy. And the fact that it wasn't "You Go Girl" was the biggest thing I liked about it. It was honest.
Yeah, the song "Living in My Head" is another one that kind of stuck out for me too. There's this internal struggle. There's this vulnerability about this song that I found that I even connected to, because saying things like "I'm so fucking insecure," like things like that I think are, I think a lot of people feel like that, and it's very anthemic in that way, where as you listen to the album as a whole, there's resolve. This is, I think, the third track on the album, but even the line, she says it like, "I'm so fucking," and then she goes, "I just can't stand it," So you can hear it, like it almost sounds like when she's delivering the lyric, like maybe she actually had something written down that she wanted to say, but while she's singing it, she maybe got lost in it, and you could hear her kind of like grunting through this line, like, "Oh, like I can't stand it," So, it just felt honest, it felt real, it felt genuine, and I like to think that maybe that's how it played out. I don't know, maybe it was a planned thing, but
no,
it didn't sound like it.
I like the way a lot of the vocals come out too. I forget the song, but I think it's "Too Far Gone," where she goes she goes like it's mine to keep. That line she says, she's like, "But I'm stubborn, it's mine to keep," and the way she says it is very like not auto-tuned, very personal, and like just like off the tongue how she would normally say it. And the way she phrases it, very personal all through the album. Very good.
Yeah, very honest, authentic artist statement. A full album. This is just like, I don't know, like there might be a couple songs that hit radio or whatever. If does radio exist anymore? I don't know.
But like this isn't pushing for radio at all in any way. That's the other thing. It's interesting in that way.
It's an album.
Yeah, and just shy of 40 minutes too. Great running time. It's like 38 minutes and 56 seconds or something. I wrote less than 39 minutes in my notes.
It felt shorter. It felt like it when it was over. I was like, oh, it's over already?
But this is one of those things too. I wanted to ask you guys, like, so like for example, like we covered the Lana Del Rey record. That was a really long record, but there were interludes in that. And, we kind of had sort of mixed opinions about those sort of interludes and stuff like that. That also sort of peppered in some spirituality, whether it was meant as a a right on to the spirituality, or like maybe some sort of kind of like weird thing or whatever, considering the person who's talking about it. What do we say about these interludes? Because you also get like the Only Love reprise that's got like the playing flutes, the sort of chaotic flutes.
I don't even think there's 4 total minutes of interlude.
I think they add completely. Also, because like even where it's like if you wanted to look up the people that are interluded, the voices that are speaking, think they can set you down on, maybe like Jeff said, she was trying to say that, and they were short enough where they themed the record in a appropriate way, I felt, and structured it in a way that I loved and fit with the song. So I was really here for that. I liked them a lot.
Yeah, I was so happy when I saw just this Ram Dass interlude. I was like,
I was hoping it was gonna be a club song though. Like with him talking.
Oh
over
yeah,
it.
like
because there is that you can if you look him up on Spotify. There's like stuff like that where it's like house psychedelic music.
Well, yeah, and like that song, Fine Line, not Fine Line. The song, The Drama, where it's a minute and a half talking about how I want to be reincarnated as a house cat. That is a Ram Dass type of thing, where it's like, let me talk about this very serious stuff, but at the end of the day, like, blah, 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 blah. Let's make fun and light of like reality and humanity and existence.
Check out Be Here Now if you haven't read that book. It's pretty groovy.
Yeah, Kesha fans, listen to Kesha. Check out some Ram Dass, some Ram ED, as I like to call him. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Some ratings for this album. I'll kick it off. I thought this was a great album statement. I will return to this when I'm feeling like listening to empowered, spiritually searching music. I'm going to say it's a 7.5 for me.
Right on. I'm going to go with an 8. I think 7.5 is a good rating, but I'm going to give it that extra 0.5 because I was just so like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
oh, okay, cool. I can get down with this. So for that, I give it an 8.
I'm gonna go even higher. I like this record a lot, and we review a lot of these records. I think it's themed super well. I really thought the songwriting was strong. I liked her personality. I've been rooting for Kesha for a long time. I'm gonna go 8.5 on this.
Nice.
It was so strong for me. If you're a Kesha fan, you should love this record. If you're into like Lana Del Rey's stuff, this is really on that like front of like being personal and honest in that way, and I really liked it. The production was really great. Shout out to Rick Rubin for producing a record I actually really loved. 8.5.
8.5. There you go. What did you
Gag
guys
order.
think? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were we right? Were we wrong? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to the podcast and share it with your local wrestling fan.
Michael,
Yes.
eat your breakfast.
Thank you to Alex behind the board.
Yes, yes. We'll see you next time. It's been Get in the Garage.